Anger makes an individual do things they may not intend to. Like every other emotion, anger has its pros and cons. Hello everyone, my name is Meghana Subramanya from Team Cycline.in. A brief introduction about Cycline.in before we start.
Cycline is a mental health organization aimed at providing good quality online counseling and psychotherapy in India. We also conduct workshops and are a team of young, vibrant experts that believe in spreading awareness for mental health in India and make mental health care accessible to all. To stay connected, visit our website and check out our Instagram page. The links are in the description box. Today I am here to present some of the interesting and informative facts about anger and how it can be managed. So without further ado, let's get started. Understanding anger. There exist many emotions expressed by human beings such as happiness, sorrow, fear, disgust, surprise, and so many more. Anger is one of the most common of them all. So what is the definition of anger? The American Psychological Association defines anger as an emotion characterized by antagonism towards someone or something one feels has deliberately done them wrong. What this means in simple terms is that anger is an emotion that we project outwards when we feel we have been wronged, not only because of someone's ill intention, but also sometimes when it is unintentional. We all know the negative effects of anger. Some of the common ones are high blood pressure, headache, increased anxiety, physical abuse, and isolation from family. However, anger can also be good when it paves the way for an individual to express their negative feelings or motivate them to find solutions to many problems. What are the types of anger? Yes, you heard me right. Chronic anger is the anger that is most often pervasive or continuous, evidenced in the workplace, in relationships, and in daily life. It reflects an ongoing proneness to become angry as well as a general attitude of hostility. More frequently, it derives from hurt that individuals have not been able to move past, often having its roots in earlier emotional or physical abuse or neglect. Or it might originate with threats or losses regarding relationships, health, finances, employment, or socio-economic status. Chronic anger does not subside with time. Volatile anger is an abrupt and explosive form of anger that often comes as a surprise not only to those around you but also to yourself. It makes an individual upset about something, which in turn makes others uncomfortable and fear that something they do could trigger anger. Judgmental anger is righteously indignant. This type of anger is usually a reaction to a perceived injustice or someone else's shortcoming. It is the anger towards those who are doing something that they think is affecting others. For example, anger towards injustice. Passive aggression is a way of expressing negative feelings such as anger or annoyance indirectly instead of addressing them directly. Passive aggressive behaviors are often difficult to identify and can sabotage relationships at home and at work. Individuals with this type of anger use other ways to express anger in order to maintain the peace, example, by avoiding or with sarcasm. Overwhelmed anger is caused by life demands that are too much for an individual to cope with. For example, that anger when one has to take too many responsibilities. Retaliatory anger is usually an instinctual response to being confronted or attacked by someone else. It's one of the most common types of anger and is motivated by revenge for a perceived wrong. Vengeful anger can also be deliberate and purposeful. It often aims to intimidate other people by asserting control over a situation or outcome, yet may only serve to escalate tensions. Self-inflicted anger is directed towards oneself and may be caused by feelings of guilt. Let us now move on to the causes of anger. We could basically categorize causes of anger into two factors, internal and external factors. The internal factors that could trigger anger are personality type, depression, unpleasant memories, hostility, tension, hormones, and failure to solve problems. The external factors include parental issues, situational and environmental factors like loud noise or traffic jam, comparison, societal pressure, and effect of media. Various factors like jealousy, pride, alcohol abuse, extramarital affairs may lead to problems like adjustment issues, lack of employment, controlling behaviors, etc. involved in a marriage and could lead to anger. We shall now discuss some of these. Not getting what is desired. For example, parents not buying a toy when the child asks for it could build a sense of not getting what the child wanted or what they deserved. This leads to frustration, which in turn evokes anger. Next, not getting what one thinks they deserve. Example, an individual participated in a competition and knew that they deserved to win it, but the result was rather the opposite. Violation of personal beliefs. We as individuals have many personal beliefs that are limited only to us. For example, one might have a belief that there should be no workplace discrimination between genders, but somebody else might disagree with them. An external or environmental stressor. Example, Stuck in a traffic jam, then one has no choice but to wait or detour. Threat against self-esteem. Every individual has a tendency to protect and further their own self-esteem. But if they encounter a person or a situation where they feel a threat to their self-esteem, there is a possibility of them getting angry. Competition. If an individual does not like the presence of a competitor and they encounter one who performs equally well or maybe better than they do, they can trigger anger. Perhaps just the thought of another individual getting ahead can trigger anger as well. Rejection. Experiencing rejection can also evoke the emotion of anger. Experience of injustice or lack of fairness. An individual might feel angry when something unfair happens to them or somebody around them. Failure to achieve a set of goals can result in frustration and anger in individuals. Removal of positive reinforcements. A positive reinforcement is given as a reward to an individual when they do something as a way of appreciation. For example, an individual performs in front of an audience which always applauded and cheered for them, but in one show the audience did not cheer. The cheering is a positive reinforcement and the audience not cheering is the removal of positive reinforcement. Likewise, the application of punishment or negative reinforcements could be another trigger for anger. Negative reinforcement could also be punishment. To make a child perform a task, parents often threaten the child with punishment. The punishment is the negative reinforcement which may trigger the child with anger. Experience of discomfort, frustration or pain. Sometimes one might feel uncomfortable in certain situations or frustrated, maybe because they are going through some sort of physical or emotional pain. That may trigger anger in one as well. Moving on to the next topic, let us learn the different ways in which one responds to anger, which is also known as anger expression. There are 4 descriptive behaviors when it comes to anger expression. 1. An individual's response to anger could be aggressive, that is, when they throw things around, punch a wall, physically abuse or verbally harm others or shout at someone. 2. An individual could be passive-aggressive, that is, they do not show the anger outright but express it in different ways such as ignoring the person who is the cause of their anger or taunting them or even refusing to do something that another person has asked them to do. 3. An individual could express anger in a passive way, that is, a tendency to express anger by being indirectly hostile towards others or be subtly insulting them, or they might fail deliberately in things that they are assigned to do. However, one would often hear that anger is always bad, it's not a good thing to be angry, don't be angry, etc. But one can try to express their anger more positively, which is the 4th option, also called as assertive behavior. An individual who shows assertive behavior manages anger appropriately and communicates it in a respectful manner as and when necessary. Assertive behavior does take a lot of patience and practice, but it also has plenty of long-term advantages. In any case, confronting the emotion is very important. If not, it could get bottled up, and when the bottle is full, it could ruin many things, including interpersonal relationships and one's own psychological well-being. Even when anger is not being expressed, it is still there and it keeps one's body in a constant state of emotional arousal. To sum up about the concept of anger expression, we can say that anger may be expressed in 3 different ways, namely, anger expression directed towards others occurs when an individual is shouting at somebody, throwing things around, verbally or physically abusing others, etc. There are instances where individuals direct their anger towards themselves, that is, directing anger inwards. These individuals tend to stop eating or isolate themselves from everybody, being hostile, reduce social interactions, etc. Certain individuals express anger in a well-controlled manner by being respectful towards others and by communicating the disappointment and their anger towards others appropriately. Coming to the consequences of anger. Anger may lead individuals to seek alcohol or drugs to take their minds off the anger and the causes for the anger. Repressed anger can cause anger outbursts that can lead the individual to indulge into fights. When one's mind is constantly in a state of emotional arousal, their ability to focus starts to deteriorate, which can also lead to lower productivity. Anger also leads one to feel disturbed. It might disrupt the psychological balance in an individual, which in turn affects other aspects of their life. When one is angry, it gets difficult to manage intimacy and communicate appropriately, which could lead to disturbances in interpersonal relationships. The long-term physical effects of uncontrolled anger include anxiety, high blood pressure, and headache. Scientific evidence suggests frequent angry outbursts may increase the long-term risk of everything from heart attacks and strokes to weakened immune system. Within the family, there can be isolation due to fear or the formation of alliances to oppose the angry individual. At a social level, there can be consequences like withdrawal or flashback or revenge. Hence, anger results in lack of peace of mind. Persistent anger gradually reduces self-control and in turn affects many other aspects of the life of an individual. Temper tantrums are emotional outbursts of anger and frustration. Tantrums are more likely to occur in younger children or others who cannot express their needs or control their emotions when they are frustrated. Negative emotions caused due to anger may result in reduction of reasoning performance. There may be an interaction between the person's emotional state and the emotional content of the problem. Individuals who are angry tend to interpret things personally and jump to irrational conclusions. Uncontrolled and frequent outbursts of anger will affect one's health and relationships with others. Now coming to some useful tips on anger management. Stephen Hawking said, "When one's expectations are reduced to zero, one really appreciates everything one does have." Through appropriate anger management techniques, one can use their anger as a motivator to make positive changes. Constructive anger involves two aspects, that is, deciding where it is you want your anger to take you, like doing 40 push-ups a day, arriving at a destination through a step-by-step process like starting off with 10 push-ups a day for the first 2 days, then gradually increasing them to 20 a day, then finally doing 30 a day, and so on. Anger management is important for the mental, psychological, and physical health of oneself as well as others around us. Some techniques to manage anger that one could incorporate are: admitting anger. The first step towards managing anger is to admit it. People respond to a personal crisis with many feelings like anger, anxiety, outrage, and self-doubt. They may get hostile, lash out at those close to them, or may become moody and depressed. The tension may show up as restlessness, loss of appetite, loss of interest in sex, insomnia, and feelings of apathy and exhaustion. Recognizing these strong feelings, understanding why they may be present, and learning to handle them in positive ways are important. Refusing to accept one's feelings can cause physical and emotional harm. Patience and tolerance are two qualities that often go hand in hand. When one learns and practices patience, they may not get as angry, stressed, or overwhelmed. They will be more in control of their emotions and in a better position to deal with difficult situations with ease and poise. This promotes longevity and makes them happier, healthier individuals. For instance, you walk into a room and find that your roommate has littered on the floor. The room is completely messy, but you like to keep things in an orderly manner. Would you shout at your friend for the mess or tell them that you don't like what you see calmly? Improving time management skills. Do not set goals that are unrealistic as it can lead to disappointment, which in turn causes frustration. For example, I will start and reach the top of Mount Everest in one day. Do creative and artistic activities. Find an activity that takes you away from what's making you angry and lets you release it. Exercise is also a common outlet, but anything that distracts your mind through a form of physical movement can work well, from a brisk walk to an interactive video game. Music can help regulate feelings of sadness and anger, all while helping us connect and feel better about the situation. Listening to music can have a tremendously relaxing effect on one's mind and body, especially slow, quiet classical music. This type of music can have a beneficial effect on our physiological functions, slowing the pulse and heart rate, lowering blood pressure, and decreasing the levels of stress hormones. Music can thus help regulate one's anger. There may be times in life where one finds themselves angry because of something someone did or because of a situation they are in. They may also encounter someone else being upset with them. In such cases, one can also develop and use humor appropriately to recognize anger when it arises. Relaxation techniques like meditation. Among its multiple benefits, one of the major benefits of meditation is that it helps to reduce anger. Regular practice of yoga, pranayama, and attention to healthy eating habits help to settle the restlessness. Doing Surya Namaskara, that is sun salutations, daily could be a good way to start. Meditating regularly is the answer to maintaining a balanced state of mind. Taking a few deep breaths will instantly help drop anger. It takes just a couple of minutes but will immediately make an individual calmer. One might notice that even if they do get angry, they calm down faster after practicing yoga. Sometimes expressing anger might be necessary to resolve a problem with the short-term discomfort of an anger but honest conversation benefiting the health of a relationship in the long term. Interacting with others boosts feelings of well-being and decreases feelings of depression and anger. Research has shown that one sure way of improving your mood is to work on building social connections. Being surrounded by nature reduces anger, fear, and stress and increases pleasant feelings. Exposure to nature not only makes you feel better emotionally, it also contributes to one's physical well-being, reducing blood pressure, heart rate, muscle tension, and the production of stress hormones. Being outdoors stimulates the body's parasympathetic reaction, which will calm one down. Nature helps reduce anger because the colors green and blue have healing power. The color green is very restful for the eyes. It calms an individual emotionally and can eliminate fatigue of eyes and anxiety. Research into smoking and stress has shown that instead of helping people to relax, smoking actually increases anxiety, tension, and anger. Nicotine creates an immediate sense of relaxation, so people smoke in the belief that it reduces stress and anxiety. This feeling of relaxation is temporary and soon gives way to withdrawal symptoms and increases cravings. Thus, reducing an intake of stimulants may also assist in managing anger. Too much alcohol can make one act in ways they wouldn't normally, including making them more angry or aggressive. Drinking to relieve stress can, in long term, worsen the stress, intensifying anxiety and irritability after drinking. Hence, not indulging in smoking, drinking, or other drug use helps in managing anger. Spending time alone may help in many ways, which is why being at one's own company could be something one could do to manage anger. When we're alone, the pressures of pleasing others and social interaction are off, which can be big stressors for some people. Plus, many people choose to use their alone time to engage in relaxing activities like meditation, crafting, or yoga. Alone time is a time to reflect. Spending time alone is the perfect opportunity for one to catch up with themselves and what they're feeling. Journaling can help with this process and is a great activity. It might take some trial and error to figure out the right balance between alone time and social time, and it might not always be the same, but do be mindful that the balance is necessary. Have you noticed some days you feel calm and relaxed while on others you are restless? This could be because the food you eat greatly affects your mind and emotions. Certain types of foods can cause restlessness and tension in the mind and body. These types of food mainly include non-vegetarian, spicy, and oily food. On days when you are feeling reactive, avoid this kind of food and observe. Chances are that you will notice a few changes and a shift within. One of the steady ways to reduce anger and the intensity of emotion over time is to eat healthy. Acknowledge your emotions about the harm done to you by others, recognize how these emotions affect your behavior, and work to release them. Choose to forgive the person who has offended you. Move away from your role as the victim and release the control and power that offending person and situation have had in your life. Asking for forgiveness may feel like we're giving an excuse for what we did. Whatever the outcome, you can feel good about how you've shown up. That means forgiveness is not about the other person, it's about freeing yourself of self-judgment so you can take responsibility, however big or small, and allow someone else to do the same. Anger triggers the body's fight or flight response. The adrenaline glands flood the body with stress hormones such as adrenaline and cortisol. The brain shunts blood away from the gut and towards the muscles in preparation for physical exertion. Heart rate, blood pressure, and respiration increases, the blood temperature rises, and the skin perspires. The mind is sharpened and focused. Some people have very little control over their anger and tend to explode in rages. A raised voice can sound like an attack. Urgency often comes across as impatience or frustration. It's easy to get flustered or upset when you're confronted with an angry person, and if you don't know how to respond, the situation can easily deteriorate. However, when you respond calmly with empathy, you can stay in control and you can diffuse the situation in an appropriate and courteous way. Empathy may help in reducing anger because it could eliminate the role played out by our preconceived notions or misjudgments in harboring anger towards another person. Empathetic concern may reduce anger by making one substitute caring responses for angry reactions. In a sense, empathy is a skill one can develop and improve. Developing empathy can allow them to manage their anger more successfully as it takes them closer to understanding the other side of the anger equation. It allows one to put their attention in a different direction, a direction that brings them closer to the person with whom they are angry with, instead of further apart. When you understand how the other person might feel or what it might be like to be on the other side of the argument, or even when you begin to understand what underlying experiences they have had to make them who they are, your anger toward them is diffused as your understanding of them increases. Empathy basically helps explain someone else's behavior even if it doesn't excuse them of their behavior. Why wait when you can resolve a conflict yourself? Conflicts are an opportunity for growth. If handled ineffectively, conflict can quickly turn into personal dislike and even lead to breakdown of relationships. Resolving conflicts can help in building trust in relationships. Acknowledge that a difficult situation exists. Honesty and clear communication play an important role in the resolution process. Listen to those who are angry with you. Listening and understanding their point of view can help in solving the problem effectively. It may help us in empathizing and feeling more connected with the person. It will give you the opportunity to understand why they may be upset with you, and that helps in healthy and smoother conflict resolution. And finally, let's talk about how counseling helps in managing anger. Many people think counselors read minds. That is a myth. Counselors are professionals who act as anchors to help you find better perspectives of your problems, to develop insights into one's own psychological and emotional health concerns. They can also help adults as well as children. Counselors don't read minds, but they're good for health. Psychologists help in coping with stressful situations, overcoming addictions, managing chronic illnesses, etc. Some of the uses of counseling are as follows. Often, people may struggle to share their feelings and issues with the people in their life, and quite often with the ones closest to them. Having someone who is a complete stranger, a professional, and is well equipped with helping the other person regulate their emotions, who doesn't know you and won't judge you, can give you the freedom and space to talk about things you wouldn't normally admit to your friends and family. This is hugely helpful in making people feel less alone and isolated in their suffering, especially if you've had something on your mind that you're too embarrassed to discuss with people who know you. Counselors are trained to provide unconditional and non-judgmental and empathetic support and care. Counseling helps individuals build emotional, mental, and physical resilience by improving their sense of overall well-being.
So that was about anger and various anger management techniques that you can easily try and incorporate in your life and manage all the issues that would accompany anger. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more informative videos. Also, share this video and spread the word about various anger management techniques. My name is Meghana Subramanya from Cycline.in signing out. See you in the next video.